Hi, Genies, it's Fisher, and before we get started, I just wanted to quickly tell you about two things you're going to want to know about. Number one, our first Extreme Genes cruise on Royal Caribbean sails out of Boston next September, stopping in New England and Nova Scotia. David Allen Lambert and I will be doing family history lectures and roundtables with you on days we're at sea. And there's an amazing Extreme Genes half-price deal with MyHeritage happening just till the end of October. You get everything they offer for less than $10 a month. To take advantage, just go to myheritage.com and put in the promo code EXTREME2015. Find out about both of these incredible opportunities on our Facebook page and extremegenes.com. Now, on to this week's podcast.
Are you digging up the dirt on your dead? Want to find out how? Hear the latest on new family history sources and websites with interesting and fun guests and experts. Find out what other people have been learning about their ancestors. From kings to thieves, inventors to farmers, nothing that's been discovered should surprise us anymore, but it always does. Find out what we mean. Great family history stories and information are on the way now with Extreme Genes, Family History Radio, and extremegenes.com.
It's been this way for generations.
Extreme Genes, Extreme Genes. Dates in the Bible don't quite match the marriage certificate. Extreme Genes, Extreme Genes. Uh-oh.
And welcome back, Genies, to another episode of Extreme Genes, America's family history show, and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. Well, Genies, we have some incredible guests today. One of them says that America actually started out as a penal colony, which involved in part white slavery. Peggy Lauritzen joins us in about 8 minutes. Then later in the show, well, we were looking for black sheep ancestor stories, and wow, did we find one. Kathy Manker from Phoenix, Arizona is going to come on and talk about a real Wild West situation I think you're going to really enjoy. But right now, let's head out to Boston, Massachusetts, and my good friend, the chief genealogist for the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org, David Allen Lambert. Hello, David.
Hey, Fish. So how are you doing this week?
Oh, what a setup is that. You know my Mets are in the World Series. How does it get any better than that?
Oh, congratulations. Well, in 1986, I wouldn't have said congratulations to any Mets fan being a Boston Red Sox fan. My heart does go out to those Cubby fans. I'll tell you, 107 years is quite a drought.
Yes. Well, so was 86 years. So
that was true. That's true. One database I want to say, if you are looking for your Mets or your Red Sox or your Cubbies, is retrosheet.org. I know you've used it in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And researching old ball players.
If they played for 20 years or just had one cup of coffee in the majors, it's a great resource, and it's for free.
I got to tell you a weird story. So this past week, I was going to an archive to look up a death record of an ancestor who passed in the 1860s. It was just a quick stopover, and I didn't want to bring any paper in, so I thought, well, I'll just memorize the date. Hopefully I can keep it in my head. And it was last Wednesday, and I looked at it. It was October 21st, 1865. I was running in to look for the death record on her 150th anniversary of her passing. How weird is that?
That's extremely creepy.
That's like Halloween, you know?
Well, serendipity and genealogy go arm in arm.
Oh, yeah.
It really does. Speaking of anniversaries, NEHGS is celebrating one this year. It's
really?
our 170th anniversary.
You don't look a day over 140.
You know, and I don't feel that old either, and hopefully I'll go to the 200th as well. Well, it's a celebration also because we reached a milestone in fundraising. We raised over $55 million as of July for our campaign for connecting families and advancing history.
Awesome.
And to celebrate this week, we're having an event at the Four Seasons. We're honoring author and historian Nathaniel Philbrick, who I'm sure you've heard of.
Oh, yeah, wrote Mayflower. In fact, several of my ancestors are mentioned in there.
Another one which is very popular and currently in the news is In the Heart of the Sea, which is going to be made into a movie coming out later this year.
Ron Howard. Yes.
That's a wonderful story. It's about the whaleboat Essex, and one of the wonderful things about the event for Philbrick, a genealogy has been compiled for him that I wrote.
Awesome.
In the book will be a reveal that he is related to Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick. 6 cousins, 5 times removed from Herman Melville.
Oh, how fun is that?
It's going to be a great way to see the connection of both their research tied together, and it's all relative.
Yeah, that's great. Let's find out what's happening with the Family Histoire news. What do you have for us today?
Well, I'm going to go across the border and into Mexico to share with you a story about the Temple of Santiago, built in 1564. For many years is laid under a reservoir in Mexico.
Wow.
Well, you've heard how much drought they're having down there, sadly. Well, because of the water table, this building has emerged from the bottom of a reservoir, and it's beautiful. If you Google search Mexico underwater church, you'll find images of it. It's surreal to think that this architectural treasure has been submerged underwater for so long.
So we're talking like 70 years after Columbus.
Pretty much. It's one of the earliest churches, and just to think, it's underwater, so unless you have scuba gear, this is the only time you can visit it while it's currently available. You know, I'll tell you, news is a wonderful thing to share when it's hundreds of years old, but I have a fun story from Buffalo, New York, where Philomena Rotundo, who's 100 years old, is still working.
Isn't that something? Yes, I've heard about this. She works like in a laundromat or something?
She does. She works every day from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and doesn't want to change it. Apparently, she's been working since the Herbert Hoover administration.
1930. I think she was 15 years old. So she's been working 85 years now and has no desire to retire.
It's that attitude from the Great Depression, and probably waiting for the next thing to happen around the corner and don't want to lose that employment. But my hat's off to anybody who's worked as long as she has.
And she says she wants to keep doing this as long as she can still walk. I don't think losing her ability to walk is going to happen anytime soon.
No, I don't think so at all. Closer to home here in Beantown, we've had some exciting news. Besides it being Family History Month for NEHGS in October, it's Archaeology Month in the state of Massachusetts. And some current work that needed to be done on Boston Common, which has been a place of an archaeological treasure trove for decades, is being done now, and they found a site where an encampment from the Revolutionary War was.
Wow.
So they're digging up little bits of artifacts, and I'm sure they'll be on display. But when you're out in Boston for our cruise next year, I'll have to take you by where it was.
I am looking forward to that.
Okay, my tech tip for this week is using photography and using it to better read the gravestone photographs you take. Now, I know that you have used Billion Graves and you've used Find a Grave in your research. Sometimes those photographs don't come out as clear as you want because it's a dark image.
Right.
Change it from positive to negative. Reverse it, and then also do it from color to black and white. And all of a sudden, if you change the contrast, Fish, you're actually going to see those letters and numbers coming out as brighter than the rest of the stone, and it's going to make it a lot easier to read the inscription and not have to go back to the cemetery again. Using that tip has saved me a lot of headaches and going back to the same cemetery once again.
So are you saying you could take one off the websites, Billion Graves and Find a Grave, and actually flip it that way?
You sure can. Do it before you upload it so you're transcribing the data in, or you can grab one off the internet and change it and clean it up a little bit better than maybe what's already on there.
Great stuff. Great tip.
And that leads me to the NEHGS free guest databases of the week, and that includes Germany, and that is from the 16th century to the 20th century for baptisms, deaths, and burials and marriages. And this is another one of our collaborated databases with FamilySearch.org, which we're very pleased to have that partnership with. I want to give a shout-out to my sister-in-law, Kelly Sonner, who hears me on KTAR in Phoenix, Arizona. She didn't even know I was on the radio. And voila, we'll save on phone calls.
Yeah, that's right. She stumbled on you. Well, that's great stuff. Thanks, David. We'll talk to you again next week.
Very good.
And coming up next, we're going to talk to Peggy Lauritzen. She says America was actually founded as a penal colony. We're going to hear more about white slavery. Coming up next in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Well, Genies, for the past year, I've been telling you all about my personal family history researcher who searches the web 24/7 for new finds about my ancestors. I'm always getting amazingly accurate matches. And as you know, the name of this researcher is myheritage.com, with the best record matching technology in the business. Well, I'm excited to tell you that for a very limited time, just through October, you can take advantage of a phenomenal Extreme Genes only offer. 50% off the regular price for 1 year of MyHeritage's full access account. You get everything, Premium Plus, and the data membership for 50% off. That's less than $10 a month. Don't wait. Just go to myheritage.com and use the promo code EXTREME2015. One word, EXTREME2015. It's an Extreme Genes special you won't want to miss. Put myheritage.com to work for you 24/7 with their remarkable technology now for less than $10 a month.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. Order your DNA kit today and see why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com.
Here it comes, the 6th Annual Roots Tech Conference in Salt Lake City, Utah, February 3rd through 6, 2016, at the Salt Palace Convention Center. The conference, hosted by Family Search International, is the largest family history and technology conference in the world. This year's theme will be celebrating families across generations. It's the perfect place to be inspired to discover, preserve, and share family connections and stories across generations, past, present, and future. At Roots Tech, you'll find some 200 engaging classes with experts from all over the world. Enjoy daily sessions with well-known keynote speakers and learn all about the new tools available to help you in your journey in the massive exhibition hall. Passes start at $29. For more information and to register, visit rootstech.org. Hope to see you February 3rd through 6 in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Welcome back to Extreme Genes, America's family history show. It is Fisher here, the radio root sleuth, with my guest, Peggy Lauritzen from Mansfield, Ohio. She's an accredited genealogist and an expert in an area that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with, having to do with white slavery, European slavery. And Peggy, how did you get involved in that?
Oh, my goodness. This is from a family story. We didn't know if it was legend or if it was truth or not. But the legend was that there had been two boys in a family situation in Clare back in the 1700s, and their mother had died. And the stepmother never really bonded with the two boys, who went on to have a family of her own with their father. So she had arranged with the ship's captain to have them have a, quote, tour of a ship.
Oh, boy.
And when they were finished with the tour, then they came up on top of the ship, and they saw that the ship had actually been pulling away from the shore the whole time, and there was their mother, who was standing there on the shore waving and saying, "Goodbye, boys."
Ta-ta.
They were set sail. Yeah, they were set sail for America like that. And I thought, now, is that true? I mean, did that stuff really kind of happen? And I delved into that, and that kind of stuff really did happen. That and an awful lot more.
Did you know which line that came through?
I did. Actually followed the line on through here into America, where they landed in Virginia and became indentured onto a plantation in Maryland, and eventually made their way onto the northeast part of Kentucky, in Fleming County, Kentucky. And there's a village named after the family, the Goddard Village. And I visited there and taken pictures of covered bridge and everything. So, yeah, it did pan out.
I think we often hear the term indentured servant, but I don't think we fully understand the meaning of that. You want to explain that a little bit?
There's actually three things that fall into this. And the first one is under apprenticeship. And usually these were young, inexperienced workers that they were kind of trading out to learn a new skill. Both would benefit because maybe a person needed help in their livelihood.
Right.
So they would be training someone, and then at the same time, this young person would be learning a skill to earn a living himself. Room and board were provided, and it was under a contract. So that was one type of a person. The next one was the indentured servants. And these were under contract usually for 7 years, but it was under a completely different system. And this system helped to populate the colonies because they were bringing them from England to help to populate, but also provide the first labor force. It actually started even before black slavery.
So how did that work?
Well, it worked awful for the people that were being indentured. It absolutely was terrible. There were 6 groups that came, and the first group that came were the children. They came in 1618. So what happened is that there were so many children that were on the streets of London that they would scoop them up. And they would even go into poor people's homes and scoop their children from there so that it would not perpetuate more poverty, with poor people having more poor people. Some of them were put into Bridewell Prison with a label, and there's even a website that you can look on there under Bridewell Prison in London, and you can see the names of people that were, quote, held for Virginia. And one of the women said, well, if you're going to take my child, you may as well take its cradle also, because these children were pretty much 8 years old and under, and they were brought to work in the tobacco fields in Virginia and Maryland. That's the sad part right there.
Wow, that is. So separated from their families.
And most of them did not live to even see adulthood or to acquire their own property or anything like that. It literally broke their backs to be worked so hard. And they were coming from a colder climate into some of the areas of the United States and also into Barbados that were tropical and hot and humid. And they just did not survive.
So we've had apprentices, we've got the indentured servants, and that included these kids. And what was the next group?
Well, the next group was the redemptioners, and this basically applied to those that were of German origins. They usually came through Pennsylvania as a type of indentured servant, which means that they sold themselves. But the thing is that the contracts were negotiated after they arrived here. And they didn't have much hope of even going back.
Not a lot of leverage, right?
No leverage. Most of the other people that came, these contracts or whatever, they were bought and sold and signed and everything before they ever left the shores to come to either Barbados or the United States. But with the German redemptioners, these were done after they came here, and they had to stay on the ship until they had their contracts negotiated. And also, and going back to indentureship, the reason that it is even called indenture is because on the contract, there was usually a jagged line that was along the top and the bottom. So it would be several jagged pieces, peaks and things like that. And the top half would exactly match the bottom half. So that when that contract, that's something that they really needed to hang on to in order to someday, if they lived long enough, to be able to prove their freedom, so that the top half and the bottom half would match together. And so if you look at the word indenture, in the middle of that word, you have denture, and that meant to cut, like you would cut with your teeth or cut with a knife or something. So those two halves of the contract needed to match.
So they would hold the top half of the indentured contract, and who had the bottom half? The owners?
Yeah, the owners.
What happened if they lost that upper half?
Then you're out of luck. You're out of luck.
Oh, my goodness.
And there were people, but the good thing is that there are a number of these indentured contracts that are on websites, like with the Library of Virginia and with the Maryland State Archives. You can go on there and see where some of these indentureships were, maybe not both halves of them, but you might be able to go in there and see where your ancestor might be mentioned as well.
So how many years might somebody have been an indentured servant with this situation?
Normally, it's 7 years. And there would be more that would be added on if a woman became pregnant. I did see the contract of a woman who became pregnant, and I do believe it was from her master. But the thing is that the child then was indentured until he was 21 years old.
Which kept her indentured too, right?
Mm-hmm. It did. So that's a normal time span for indentureship. There could be varying things that could be added onto that. For instance, if somebody ran away and they were caught, then you've got the number of days that they disappeared added on to the end of that contract. So if they were gone for 9 months, guess what? You're brought back home, and you've got 9 more months added onto your contract.
Wow.
With many of them, like with the German redemptioners, if a family was coming over, and let's say the father dies, the mother is on her way over, the father dies before the end of his contract, she has to fill the rest of his contract. And if both the father and the mother died, the children would have to fill out the rest of their contract.
So it's really in everybody's best interest to keep everybody breathing.
Yeah, and stay put. Because if you're caught, then you're really going to be out of luck. And again, even with those that ran away, you can find really interesting advertisements in newspapers and on different websites where people were advertising, this person ran away, they had these distinguishing marks, they came from Ireland, they came from here, please be on the lookout. I mean, so everybody was looking all the time. They did not have much recourse.
I've always been fascinated by the fact that people would put these identifications in the paper. It must have been just a really fairly small population for folks to say, hey, maybe it's that guy, because they would recognize somebody as not belonging to a community and his story doesn't add up, something like that. But it had to be very difficult, really, to identify anybody back then without photos.
Well, it would have been, and especially if the person who had run away was not able to read or write. They may never know that their full description was being broadcast through all of these newspapers like that, too. That's really quite a scary thing when you think about it, because then you're always thinking that somebody is looking for you like that. I still think that the saddest part were these children that came. I mean, these poor little children being made to work out there in these tobacco fields, because then after that, they began to scoop up the vagrants and the petty thieves and the undesirables and the prostitutes that were also in this prison in London. So they began to bring them over and have them serve as indentured servants. That went on until the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
Yeah. America was a penal colony. And at the time of the Revolutionary War, then all immigration of any kind came to a halt. So those prisoners were then sent on to Australia. And that became the next penal colony down there.
Interesting. So if they couldn't come here, they would send them over there. Did most of the folks who were here remain, I would assume?
They did.
What was their situation with their contracts then when the United States broke away from Great Britain?
They still were under contract. That did not negate that at all.
Really?
They were still under contract because the contract was with the person who was here in America.
I see. Okay.
They just simply used them. And also, these people, the indentured servants and the apprentices, some of these, their treatment from their so-called masters, in actuality, was a lot worse than what it was with the blacks. Because with the blacks, they wanted that to be perpetual slavery. It was going to be ongoing. Now they were treated horribly. There's no doubt about that. But some of the white slaves, if they lived, then they would be receiving 50 acres and a suit of clothing and maybe some money and maybe some type of a farm implement. So if they treated them so harshly and they ended up dying, oh well.
Well, it's obviously very miserable for anybody who'd be a slave. She's Peggy Lauritzen from Mansfield, Ohio, an accredited genealogist, talking about white slavery, something we don't hear much about. Thank you so much, Peggy, for coming on the show.
Absolutely. I was happy to do it.
And coming up next, we've asked people for their black sheep family stories, and wow, did we find one. Wait till you hear this listener's tale coming up next in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks.
Well, Genies, for the past year, I've been telling you all about my personal family history researcher who searches the web 24/7 for new finds about my ancestors. I'm always getting amazingly accurate matches. And as you know, the name of this researcher is myheritage.com, with the best record matching technology in the business. Well, I'm excited to tell you that for a very limited time, just through October, you can take advantage of a phenomenal Extreme Genes only offer. 50% off the regular price for 1 year of MyHeritage's full access account. You get everything, Premium Plus, and the data membership for 50% off. That's less than $10 a month. Don't wait. Just go to myheritage.com and use the promo code EXTREME2015. One word, EXTREME2015. It's an Extreme Genes special you won't want to miss. Put myheritage.com to work for you 24/7 with their remarkable technology now for less than $10 a month.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
And we are back. Extreme Genes, America's family history show, and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, the radio root sleuth, with my guest, Kathy Manker from Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm doing great.
She is on an excursion to Washington right now, doing a little research. What are you looking into, by the way?
Well, I've been trying to find information on various brick walls on this trip, and I started out in Boston at the New England Historic Genealogical Society and got closer, ruled things out, but as brick walls go, you know, you just kind of get the circle closer and closer, but it's hard to actually nail it.
Right.
Now I'm in Washington, and I decided to do something that I knew I could get and feel like I accomplished something, and that was to go to the National Archives and get the Civil War pension file of my great-great-grandfather.
How fun is that?
His name is Leonidas Manker. That's my great-great-grandfather.
Write down the name line. That's great. Well, congratulations on the find. That's always fun. Now, I understand you have quite the black sheep story going on in your background.
Yes, I do.
And I want to hear about it.
Well, I'll preface it by saying this doesn't reflect my family because we come from long lines of founders of early America and everything, you know, Rhode Island and Connecticut and stuff. And so this line that's kind of amusing and very tragic. You know, it happens.
Well, it happens in every family. There are black sheep in every family, don't you think?
Yeah. So this is my third great-grandfather. His name is Anderson Jones. And he was half Delaware Indian, and he had 4 daughters and 4 sons. And the 4 sons seemed to get in a lot of trouble. And it was very tragic that Anderson himself ended up killing one of his sons, William Jones, because they were out in front of this tavern in Anna, Illinois, in southern Illinois.
So you're talking about the Old West, basically, at that time.
Yeah, this was in 1882.
Okay.
in Anna, Illinois. And so they're out in front of this tavern, and being horse traders, they kind of got in an argument with each other on swapping some horses. And Anderson, who was 72 at the time and very short, very small man compared to his son William, who was in the prime of life and much bigger and stronger. But Anderson just kind of got fed up, went into the bar, and William followed him and picked a fight, and Anderson ended up in self-defense, stabbing his son and killing him.
Wow.
It was obviously a very tragic thing to have happened. And he got arrested, but they refused to file charges because they said this was self-defense.
So the son had followed him in and was being aggressive.
Picked a fight with them, and I guess there were no witnesses to what happened. But it's written up in the Jonesboro Gazette. That's how we found out about this, because we never heard about it passed through down to the family. But then just a few months later, Anderson, who's the father, he was again in downtown Anna, and there was a team of horses that got frightened by a train, and they went crazy and went flying up Main Street, and they ran over Anderson, and he died. And the newspaper was implying, they didn't use the word karma, but that's what I would call it, implying that this was kind of a divine payback for him killing his son.
Well, that had to have been the talk of the town, right? I mean, how big was this area at the time?
Oh, it's a small town. This is a big deal in the papers. But then there's more tragedy. A year later, his youngest son, Calvin Jones, was shot and killed, and he was only 25 years old at the time. And so the guy who killed him got 25 years in prison for murder.
And what was their fight over?
We don't know. It's just a one-liner in the newspaper in the obituaries that we found out about that one. But then there's a lot more write-up on another son who was John Jones. And I guess he was a city marshal for a while, and during that time he killed a man, and he ended up serving 6 years in prison. And so he, did his time, got out, and then in 1895 he had an eating stand at the Southern Illinois Fairgrounds, and he got in an argument with a woman who worked for him there over 50 cents in wages, and he beat her to death.
Whoa!
And so, yeah, this is real anger management issues running in this family there. And so after killing the woman, he was put in jail, and they moved him around to different jails in the area, like Cairo, Illinois, and Murfreesboro and stuff, because they were wanting to avoid a lynch mob. And he escaped once and then was recaptured and put back in jail, and then he escaped again. And after they put up a $200 reward, he was recaptured in Tennessee in 1896 and brought back to Murfreesboro and put on trial. And he was found guilty and sentenced to death. And he was hanged on May 19th, 1896. And they have pictures of him and of the hanging in the papers, in the Jonesboro Gazette there.
Wow.
And so that's how we found out about this.
So you got one son that was stabbed by the dad. The dad was then run over by a cart with runaway horses. Mm-hmm. Another one shot in a dispute. Another one kills someone and winds up in prison, and he gets hanged after his escapes.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Right. And then the fourth son, Newton Lafayette Jones, died in 1895, and the one-liner obituary says, Lafayette Jones, a son of Anderson Jones, was his only son to die a natural death.
Wow. And then there were all the sisters. Everything okay with them?
The sisters seem to be okay, although I kind of suspect that there's some mental health issues running in that family.
Yeah, you think?
Yes, because the Anderson's wife died when she was very young, in her early 40s, and then her dad died when he was in his early 40s. And so you wonder, we don't know the circumstances of those deaths, but I kind of wonder if maybe perhaps they were very hot-headed and had anger management control issues and who knows what else. But there was obviously something awful going on in this family in this regard. The daughters seem to have turned out fine, and I'm descended from one of the daughters. They raised fine families and from what I've seen, didn't have any of those kinds of issues.
Isn't that amazing? And you're going back how far now? This is your great-great-grandmother?
This is in the Yeah, Anderson Jones is my third great-grandfather.
And so the daughters are your great-greats. Just for everybody's information, because it's always about research here on Extreme Genes, where did you find your digitized newspaper stories?
Well, they actually were not digitized. We did stuff the old-fashioned way and went to the libraries in, I think it's Marion, Illinois, is where the Southern Illinois University is, and they have all the local papers on microfilm. And so went through those. Various members of our family did that at various times, and each time someone made a trip, they came back with something even more. So
you did it the old-fashioned way.
Uh-huh.
You traveled there and you turned the crank on the microfilm machine.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, isn't that fun? I remember making a big discovery that way myself, and I was right in the middle of maybe the biggest find I'd ever found. And my wife called to chit-chat, and I'm like, not now, because you're right in the middle of this whole thing. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Kathy, and sharing your black sheep story. That's right up there with any black sheep story I've ever run across. And always makes it fascinating, though, doesn't it? It kind of holds your attention. Yeah. And for coming on, I want to give you one of our full access Premium Plus and data membership for MyHeritage.com. MyHeritage, of course, has the best technology in the industry. And, of course, we're doing a very special 50% off deal right now. All people have to do is go to MyHeritage.com and use the promo code Extreme2015. But for you, it's free. Kathy, thanks for coming on Extreme Genes.
Well, thank you very much.
And coming up next, Tom Perry from TMCplace.com, our preservation authority, talking about preserving your precious heirlooms. Next in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Well, Genies, for the past year, I've been telling you all about my personal family history researcher who searches the web 24/7 for new finds about my ancestors. I'm always getting amazingly accurate matches. And as you know, the name of this researcher is MyHeritage.com, with the best record matching technology in the business. Well, I'm excited to tell you that for a very limited time, just through October, you can take advantage of a phenomenal Extreme Genes only offer. 50% off the regular price for 1 year of MyHeritage's full access account. You get everything, Premium Plus and the data membership for 50% off. That's less than $10 a month. Don't wait. Just go to MyHeritage.com and use the promo code Extreme2015. One word, Extreme2015. It's an Extreme Genes special you won't want to miss. Put MyHeritage.com to work for you 24/7 with their remarkable technology now for less than $10 a month.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andMe.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andMe.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andMe.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andMe.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andMe.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. Order your DNA kit today and see why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andMe.com.
Hi, Genies. It's Fisher. So excited to tell you about our very first Extreme Genes Family History Cruise, September 13th through 18th, 2016. We'll be leaving out of Boston on Royal Caribbean with stops in Bar Harbor, Maine, St. John, New Brunswick, and Halifax, Nova Scotia. On days we're at sea, join me and David Allen Lambert, Chief Genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org, for lectures and roundtables on several genealogical topics. See where your patriot ancestors fought in the Revolution, or where your loyalist ancestors claimed their new homes. For pricing, go to our Extreme Genes Facebook page or visit extremegenes.com. Now is the time to make your reservations because when the cabins are gone, they're gone. Call Robin at Columbus Travel at 1-800-373-3328, extension 1010. And be sure to ask her about our special pre-cruise excursion in Boston. David and I look forward to seeing you. And welcome back to America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth with Tom Perry, the guy from tmcplace.com. He is our preservation authority. And Tom, before we get into anything new here this week, apparently we got a few loose ends to wrap up from last week when we were talking about this Build-A-Box where you could take your phone and the camera in your phone and put it on the top of this box to slip photographs under and make digital copies of antique photographs, which I think is great. And we had an email from somebody saying, hey, wait a minute, how does this hold together under the weight? And I think you were just starting to touch on that at the end of the show. You want to continue with that?
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I've had some people come into the store that said the same thing, like, hey, if I duct tape this, I've got this box, how can I take it with me when I go to a family reunion or something? Really easy answer to that. If you go to a sign shop to buy your plasticor, they have these little plastic rib things that are made to put plasticor together to make great big displays in booths. Like if you go to a home show or something like that, they have these booths. So you can buy these little things. They're not very expensive. They're a couple of bucks. So if you buy 4 or 5 of those and you actually slide the plasticor into it, not only is it going to hold the plasticor really good and make it stiff so you don't even need to build a frame around it, you can slide this right out, pop it in your suitcase, your briefcase, your computer case, and take it any place you go. So when you mount the little LEDs, what you'll want to do is you'll want to mount those to 2 of the pieces. So those 2 pieces, you just turn them opposite so they lay flat, and then lay your other piece on top of them. And the whole thing's going to weigh a pound, maybe 2 pounds at the most.
Isn't that great? And what a great idea. If you missed this whole thing, you want to listen to the podcast from last week's show. It's on iTunes, iHeartRadio, of course, and at extremegenes.com. All right, what do you have for this week, Tom?
Okay, another thing that is really interesting, go to apple.com, and they had a keynote speaker back in, I believe it was September, when they released the new Apple TV, the new 6S, the new iPad, several other different things. There's some really, really neat things that are going to help you a lot in your family preservation. A few weeks ago, we talked about the new iPad Pro, which is absolutely, I think, one of the neatest things to help with family history, with restoring your photos, making new history at your family reunions. This tablet is just absolutely amazing. It gives you an opportunity to take your old daguerreotypes and be able to clean them up, fix them, any photos you have that are faded. We have people all the time that bring us in something that was hanging in their living room that the sun was directly on that has turned pretty much red. It'll allow you, with this great big new iPad Pro and the new Adobe software, to go in and clean that stuff up, fix the filters. It takes a stylus so you can just real easily draw just around Aunt Martha and fix just that part because everything else looks fine. It's just absolutely an incredible thing. Another neat thing that Apple's doing is they're totally changing the world of TV. They have the new Apple TV that is going to be based on apps.
Wow.
So everybody's going to be writing apps for the new Apple TV, which means people are going to come out with apps for family history, for restoration, to creating new family histories, recording your family, doing all these different kinds of things. And once you have them in this format, distribution is going to be so easy.
No kidding, huh? I'm just thrilled that Apple's finally doing stuff with Adobe.
Oh, absolutely. That was huge. I mean, I love Steve Jobs. He was absolutely wonderful. However, he had this chip on his shoulder with Adobe and would not work with them. But the new guy that's running it now, he has no problem with Adobe. So, they're in bed together now and just doing absolutely wonderful things. It's going to help us so much in family history. So you want to get this new Apple TV. It's really small. It's wonderful. Start learning the apps. If you're a developer out there, get some information. Start making things that are going to help us in the family history. We need to work together. We need to get some of these cool apps up. Let us know on the show. If you've designed an app that's either on the iPhone or preferably for the new Apple TV, let us know. We'll promote it on this show because we're all about preserving memories and making this stuff work for people.
Great stuff. All right, what do we have in our next segment, Tom?
We're going to talk about a little stuff to do with the new 6S phone, how you can get some killer pictures of that at your family reunion, or also use it on Build-A-Box.
Wow, good stuff. All right, coming up in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Well, genies, for the past year, I've been telling you all about my personal family history researcher who searches the web 24/7 for new finds about my ancestors. I'm always getting amazingly accurate matches. And as you know, the name of this researcher is myheritage.com, with the best record matching technology in the business. Well, I'm excited to tell you that for a very limited time, just through October, you can take advantage of a phenomenal Extreme Genes only offer. 50% off the regular price for 1 year of MyHeritage's full access account. You get everything, Premium Plus, and the data membership for 50% off. That's less than $10 a month. Don't wait. Just go to myheritage.com and use the promo code EXTREME2015. One word, EXTREME2015. It's an Extreme Genes special you won't want to miss. Put myheritage.com to work for you 24/7 with their remarkable technology now for less than $10 a month.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks.
And we are back. Extreme Genes, America's family history show on extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, the Radio Root Sleuth. By the way, if you ever have a question for Tom Perry, you can email him at asktom@tmcplace.com. All right, Tom, let's continue this about Apple because they're making some big changes that are going to have a real impact on preservation of family history.
Oh, absolutely. Like in the first segment, we talked a little bit about the apps and encourage people that are genies to develop apps for family history. There's just so much potential out there to do stuff to help us preserving memories easier. One of the neat things that Apple announced, too, is the new 6S. Some people said, oh, don't buy it. Wait for a year when the new 7 comes out. Well, yeah, that's fine if you want to wait a year, but you're going to lose a lot of stuff in that year. Go buy a 6S. There's some cool things about it. One of the things that really blew my mind is when you take still photos, somehow the camera's actually taking a movie, not just a still photo. So if you go get a still photo and you go and swipe it a certain way, it turns into a moving picture. Like if you're shooting a waterfall and you think you just shot one frame of the waterfall, you can go and swipe it a certain way and it becomes a movie and the water's actually moving.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You're
I thought
kidding.
I thought it was some kind of weird thing, like it just changed the frame or, fake like was moving like an old Nickelodeon or something. But it's actually, I'm sitting there looking at the water, and the water coming down this waterfall is actually moving. So somehow, I don't know if it it's crazy. It's like the old flip books. They're still pictures, but you go and flip through them, and it's a movie, and somehow Apple's pulled a rabbit out of the hat and done this. I have no idea how it works, but it is cool. It is way cool. So you have these neat innovations from Apple. And another thing on the phone that's really cool, it's a touch-sensitive screen in depth, not just in swiping. The harder you push on the screen, it knows what you're trying to do. You're going to something different.
It's a different command.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
exactly. It changes it. For instance, like if you're, this has nothing to do with family history, but if you're looking up a contact, you push it, you can see the information about the contact, then you want to call him, then you push it harder and it opens up all the way. So how does this help family history? If you have a photo that you want to do some editing on, I can almost guarantee you that the Apple software that Adobe just made that's for the new iPad Pro is going to come to the iPhone. So say that you're in a museum and there's a photo that has your ancestor in, which, they're not going to let you take it. Shoot it with your phone right there on the spot with a little stylus, which I think is going to come for the iPhone too. You can go and do some minor editing or do an overlay of it and circle this is so-and-so and write notes on it. And then when you get home, you've got all these notes and they're on different layers. So you can remove that layer and print it and then print the photo too. And then you've got this absolutely incredible family history and record your audio while you're sitting there looking at it. I mean, this thing is exploding. It's so exciting. I just can't stand it anymore.
And it is interesting because we run into so many people, especially a lot of seniors who are very intimidated by technology. And I tell people all the time, you're going to have to embrace it at some point if you're going to take full advantage of what's going on right now. Go take a class. Go learn some of the fundamentals of this stuff so you can take advantage of these things because there's only going to be more and more and more opportunities to preserve and to learn how to do this great artwork. It's so much fun.
We have people coming in the store all the time, the seniors that don't want to deal with this kind of stuff at all. And I said, hey, do you enjoy spending time with your grandkids? Oh, I love my grandkids. They're so much better than my own kids. I love to spoil them and send them home. Do you have any kindergartners? Oh, yeah, I've got a couple of kindergartners. Well, next time they're over visiting, sit down with them and their iPad and have them show you these kind of things. So then you're not so intimidated. It's your kindergartner, that's your grandchild that's teaching you these things. It's good quality time with them. It's just an incredible opportunity to spend time with them and learn from them. So talk to your grandkids. They'll get you all set up.
All right. Great stuff, Tom. Thanks so much. And we look forward to seeing what's coming down the line from Apple soon.
Awesome stuff.
Talk to you next week.
Thanks.
Hey, that wraps it up for this week. Thanks once again to Peggy Lauritzen for coming on and sharing her expertise on the subject of white slavery in America. Was America really a penal colony? She says yes. Catch the podcast if you missed it. Also to Kathy Manker for sharing her black sheep story. What a tale to find and to share. Thanks again for joining us. Talk to you again next week. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.